Let's continue on with the Wednesday Wrangle, and Liz Storer has left her luxurious harbourside mansion and come into the studio for this segment, and Justin has left his expensive inner city penthouse and come into the studio. You've both left home to come to work, which is good to see.
We have.
But what about Jeff Kennett saying that other people, if their bosses want them at the office, should actually turn up? And maybe if they don't want to turn up, Justin, their pay ought to be docked.
Oh, bless Jeff. God, I love him today. You know, there's no one who can stir up the people like Jeffrey. And I tell you what, you can't half tell that old Jeff used to be a state leader and used to be a premier, because his first plan is, let's start penalising people for something that we pushed them into in the first place. I mean, what a hell of a plan that is. Let's start. Instead, look, I don't know where we're going to go with this in the next couple of years. If you have a business and you desperately need people to work and they just refuse to do it, and unions back them to not work, and they take it to the High Court. The High Court says you don't have to go into work. I don't know where this thing is going to go, but I would say eventually they're going to have to find a way to give an incentive and say, listen, we're going to help you out with travel, we're going to help you out with, I don't know, whatever, but you're going to have to find an incentive. Don't go around penalising people when we told you that you've got to bloody stay home.
Well, that's the trouble. This is where Kennett went down the road. He talked about incentives and bonuses as well. But you know, this ought to be pretty simple. Is that it ought to be, if the boss needs you at work, you should be at work. Now, sure, people work from home, and if your employer's happy with that and you're productive, that's great. But the point is, it's really their call. If they want you at the office, they should be able to get you at the office. There shouldn't have to be any cajoling. There shouldn't be any rights to say no. And they shouldn't have to pay you a bonus to get you there.
Well, now that the relevant union for the public sector has inked that deal just yesterday, which means now that those employed in the public sector have a great say. And unless their employer actually can come up with a business-related solid excuse as to not give them the working from home allowances they want, they're in trouble. You can't fire that person. And you're quite right in saying employers can ask for whatever they want, but at the end of the day, the employees can walk. And since the pandemic, and with regard to this entire issue, I'm just like, get stuffed, government. You made your bed when you locked up millions of healthy people. Now they've discovered a better work-life balance. You can get stuffed. They don't want to come back.
The government, there's no doubt government stuffed it up, but there's a lot of people who are going to suffer in the private sector as a consequence.
Yeah, and that's a shame. But that's also due to the government's heavy-handed response. This is part of the fallout.
Yeah,
so
but this is the country going down the tubes. I agree with you, the government's at fault here, but you can't just say then suffer, let's let the whole country go to pack.
Because what it means is more individual freedom. People can now afford to live out in the suburbs where it is a lot more affordable. And they can do that because they know, I work from home. Things are more affordable out here, my rent, etc. and so on. They've been able to adopt a better lifestyle. And I think they should be able to have that choice. The idea of then docking their pay. Jeff Kennett was literally saying, say dock them 10 grand. His figure, not mine, for then the commute. If you apply that logic, then every single employee would be paid differently according to how far away they lived from the workplace.
Something's got to give. You can't just say, it shouldn't be your choice to stay home. Here's a bit more of Jeff Kennett on radio today.
And I'm not suggesting that people who work for home are less productive, but I am saying that there are increased costs now for those like our nurses and our teachers and our frontline responders who have no choice but to go to work. And the cost for them to doing so is higher than those who stay at home. Now, not necessarily reduce salaries, that's an option.
Bottom line, Justin, is nothing will change this in the public sector, but in the private sector, as unemployment rises and job insecurity increases, people are going to start turning up at the office if they're wanted, because otherwise they'll lose their job.
Yeah, look, that's probably going to happen. Just very quickly on that Jeff thing, though, pay nurses and teachers more. That'd be a fantastic idea. Give them some more money. You know,
it's always the lefty way.
I think
just throw out more government money. More government money. More government money. That's the lefty's answer to everything.
Well, I tell you what, if you ever look at a nurse's salary once in a while and you look at what they've got to do during the day, I think anyone looking at that with a clear head would be advocating for them to get a little bit more
I'm
cash.
the hard old mean person who's against nurses. But you're just the lefty who says the solution to every problem is spending more government money. Someone's got to pay the government money. Someone's got to pay the taxes.
That's all right. It'll roll back into the economy. The nurses will go and spend some money on coffee. And they'll go and buy a better car.
You know what you sound like?
Hey?
You know you sound
Don't
like?
you know how the economy works, Chris?
You sound just like Jim Chalmers or Jim Cairns or Wayne Swan. We are all out of time. We are all out of time. Thanks for joining us, Wayne Swan. I mean Jim Chalmers. I mean Justin Smith. They're joining us from Melbourne, and Liz Stora on the desk with me says we may as well just go to hell anyway because the government stuffed everything up.